I'm Norm Poltenson with the Business Journal, and this is Contrarian's Corner. What's in the news lately? Well, it turns out that bubbles are in the news. No, I'm not talking the housing bubble. That burst a long time ago. I'm talking about student loans. And it's a big bubble. How big? Well, as Billy Fusilla would love to say, it's huge. Well, let's put that into real terms. How about $1.1 to $1.2 trillion is the range of estimates today as to how big this problem really is. And how many borrowers do we have? 37 million borrowers for student loans. That's gone up double in the last 6 years. And there's something else that's increased substantially. That's the default rate. We now have 5.4 million borrowers who are in default. That's 15%. And that rate is going up. There's one more figure I'd like to share with you that would suggest just how big this bubble is. You taxpayers are on the hook for $95 billion, according to the Congressional Budget Office. That's their projection over the next 10 years as to what you're going to cough up to pay the gap on the borrowing that's not being repaid by those who have done the borrowing. So where did this all start? Well, student loans go back to 1958. Remember Sputnik? No, you're probably too young to remember Sputnik. But in any case, the Soviets tossed a satellite up into the sky and Americans said, we're falling behind, we're falling behind. So government created a program and Congress established a student loan program, a very carefully tailored student loan program that said, if you're really smart, you get good grades, and if you're studying math, and you're studying science, and you're studying foreign languages, and if you're going to teach, we want you in the program. Now, that was a successful program, and then in the mid-60s, President Johnson blew the lid off it when he said, wait a minute, this should apply to everybody. Who cares about grades? Who cares about whether it's science, math, language? Everybody should go to college. And every decade thereafter, Congress has expanded the program and made it more inclusive. Well, on June the 9th, our president just expanded the bubble again. Because what he did was issue an executive memorandum that said, oh, by the way, those of you in the program we call pay as you earn, we're going to reduce the amount of money you have to repay every year. It was 15%. Not of your gross income, not of your net income, but of your disposable income. Well, now that's much too much, obviously, so we're going to reduce it to 10%, and that's what you repay. If you work in the private sector in 20 years, we will forgive your loan. And if you work for government or you work for a not-for-profit, we'll forgive it in 10 years. Such a deal. Now, I've been picking on Congress, I've been picking on the president, but I also want to pick on the parents and the students who frankly have been sucked in by this easy money. Here's the dilemma. 75% of the parents and the students say it costs too much to go to college. 57% of them don't think there's a good return on the investment, and yet 94% of the parents expect their kids to go to college. Go figure. We have a problem. It's a big problem. The president just made it bigger because it's anticipated another 5 million Americans are going to come into the program now. And it's not that there aren't solutions. There are plenty of solutions to this problem, starting with changing the formula that lets colleges set tuition, and then as long as the students come in and meet whatever the formula is that the government has created, colleges simply ask the government to reimburse them, and government does that. There's no cap on this program. There are no limitations. So there are lots of solutions. We've seen it in even in the private sector. What's lacking, frankly, is the willpower to do something about it. I'm Norm Poltenson. Thanks for listening.